So it's been a while since I uploaded my last video. Um, and I would say there's been reasons to that. Um, being as like what some people call as like writer's block, but it's not necessarily because I don't have any ideas. It's because I can't find the words to express what goes on in my head and put it onto video. But I've had a lot of talk. I've had a lot to deal with this. I would say past week. It's been one of the worst weeks of my life. Um, I can't. Well, first off, I can't. My high school's senior year is done. I can't play any sports. It's not necessarily something I regret, but it's something that I wish I could have taken a part of because you know, um, I play. I play sports. I'm a sports dude. I like sports. I like playing basketball. I'm pretty fast. I tried out for track. Um, but I can't play any sports, so it's time to move on to the next step of my life. But it feels like something I missed out on. Something that I can't necessarily get back. Um, I'm not saying it's the end of the world, but I would say it's more of like you know something I would never get to take part of unless I played college or something. But I doubt that would happen. Um, Secondly, I've had conversations with my dad over the past week, and he told me that I don't do enough, content wise. Um, and I get that, it's easy to get popular nowadays, but it's hard to get famous. And what I mean by that is you could have all the followers you want and post like small fast fast content, doing these little tricks or pranks. But if you were to host a meet and you have 100,000 followers, how many would come to fly to see you? Not many, because those aren't fans. Those are people that are there for the small clips, the scrolling, to be happy. And I get that, but that's not the type of person I want to be. I want to whatever I do, I feel like it has impact. I want it to have impact. I want it to mean something. I think too much for to do something small. If you were to tell me to write 5 words that describe myself, I wouldn't be able to because I can't find the words. I think deeper than those 5 words. I wouldn't be limited to 5 words. Stuff like that. I've always had a hard time with stuff like that, and it's not to like seem different or nothing. I've always like been thinking out the box, regardless if I wanted to or not. It's something that's there with me. Um, I find it hard to make videos, you know, and like I said early on in the video, it's not like I lack ideas or I get like creator's block. It's that I think like constantly, and I can't ever, or most of the time, I can't find the words to express how I feel. What goes on in my head. So this is kind of like I would say like a diary of my life. Where I talk about things that goes on in my life, what I think about, what I do. Um, I would if I had to compare myself to someone, I would say Joe Bart. I think that's his name. Um, really, really, really philosophical dude. It's just something that you know I think about. Like recently, I've been discovering myself. I like debates. I like talking. I like debating about people, but I don't like the debates where you have time to prepare, because then those ideas aren't really your own. It's more like a info debate. Like let's do a debate on hand. Like you know, right here, right now. Let's see let's see who can critically think the best. Stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I feel you know like I feel I have mixed emotions about it because now for high school sports, I'm done. Like I can't do any more basketball. I didn't make the team because of problems with the coaches. Nothing, nothing to do with my skill. Um, Secondly, I can't do track because you know, um, I guess I didn't meet expectations. Uh, Again, it's not because of my athletic ability. It's more so above my grades, which I'm very surprised about. That being the one thing. Um, like this week's been kind of difficult. I'm not sobbing or anything. It's just something I gotta live forward with. And if people do see this, they'll be like, keep your head up, blah blah blah. But I feel like when someone's necessarily dealing with a problem, you can't tell them to just keep their head up while they're in, like the moment of impact. Like if someone's parents died and you told them keep your head up, that's not gonna do any good because their parents just died. The only thing that you can wish is, that they stay safe, healthy, and things of that nature, and let time do its thing. Because time reveals all. Time heals most stuff. Um, I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say it fixes everything because if someone's mad at you and they continue to be mad at you, it doesn't matter how much time you have between those two people. They're still gonna stay mad at you. Um, I also got blocked on Instagram by someone for calling them beautiful. So that's how my love life's going. Um, I don't know. I'm gonna try and start uploading more. Um, my dad said he basically called me lazy. Said I have nothing because I don't do nothing. But it's not that I don't want to do nothing. It's that everything I do has to have meaning behind it. And you know, I have ideas. I have many ideas. I want to start a clothing brand that's actually going to make a difference, not just some clothes that you wear for Instagram flicks or stuff like that, but actual change. I want to start charity programs. I want to start gyms where kids can come to because out here I live in Sacramento. There's nothing to do. You want to go play basketball? There's like two gyms. Um, you know, I wanna make change, and it's not something that's so easy to do by making a video because there's many factors that go into it. Viewership, how many people agree with you, how many people would actually follow you, and not just there for the quick Instagram scroll. So, but in all due time, I'm gonna make change regardless. If it comes to me or not, I'm going to make change one way or another. So I don't think I talked about this week much in detail, but yeah, it's been one of my worst weeks of my life ever. Um, it's been very bad, but I'm not here to get pity from you guys. I'm here to just like an update, I guess, or something. But I do plan to change the world. I do plan to um, bring my ideas to life. I do plan to do all of that. Um, you know, this channel, Thoughts of David, my other channels, um, all of it's gonna fall into pieces. I got some big ideas in the works. That's what I'm gonna say. But that's about it. So yeah.